Howard Ghost.
What a day. I'm so unprepared. But here I am. It's Aaron Live. It is, when is it? It's June 30th. Oh my gosh. Do you realize we're like almost 7 months into 2024? Crazy how fast time flies. Crazy, I tell you. So here I am. We were down visiting the grandbaby. What an expressive little package he's become in short order. I did some of my prep last night, but I thought, well, I'll have time. You know, we'll be home an hour and a half before showtime. I can put the rest of the stuff together. No. So anyway, here we are late, but here nonetheless, because as they say, the show must go on. And I, ladies and gentlemen, at least right this second, am the show. So, where was I last week? I know you're just asking yourself, where was Aaron last week? I was at the Washington State Summer Con in Puyallup, Washington. That's an Indian name. I'm sure I don't know what it means. But so I was doing that show. A show that our good friend Mark Brooks was supposed to be at, but he canceled. So he was not there. So there wasn't any sort of interesting sidebars, anything like that. I got to talk to Dan Jurgens, who I hadn't seen since San Diego. Talked to Mark Bagley, who I haven't talked to in ages. Saw a little bit of Frank Cho, but Frank was other places than his table most of the time. And Jim Shooter was there. Didn't know Jim Shooter. Didn't talk to him because I don't know him. Jim Starlin was there. I didn't talk to Jim Starlin because I don't know him. As you might be able to gather from this, that I only talk to people I know. So there you have it. That's about the extent of it. And then, of course, the great number of people that frequently appear in our chat were there to greet me and to convey their salutations. And Angela brought me chocolate, and as she has promised for years to do, and she finally came through and did it. So that was good. We got to see Leg Kick because Leg Kick is almost always here or there. Let's see, who else did I see? I saw Creative Faye. I saw Duck Bacon. Got to meet him and his daughter. And I won't say his daughter's name. I don't know if people like that, their kids' names and stuff on the internet. So I'm not going to do that. But if she's watching. And Henry Bemis, who did not identify himself, but did buy a hat. So, that's okay. And who am I missing? Geek Avenger and Squeaky were there. It was just a wild time had by all. I have to put it out there that the Washington State Summer Con, they really put on quite an organized show. They picked us up from the hotel. We were at the Best Western, and they took us right from the hotel, drove us onto the fairgrounds, because this is on the state fairgrounds, or the county fairgrounds, or whatever fairgrounds it is. And they dropped us off at the pavilion, the main pavilion, where the show is being held, but there's also adjoining pavilions, or not adjoining, but close, lesser pavilions where they would house the artists and the gamers and that type of thing. And so then they would take us in a golf cart over to the pavilion we were actually appearing in and had our table set up. So, and they did that on call, right? It's like, hey, dude, Shelly needs a ride over to the airport. Or the hotel, can you hook us up? And they, 15 minutes later, taken care of. So they did a great job. They had a really nice, huge green room. It almost felt like a country club sort of a hangout. Served us nice lunch every day. And Shelly kept saying, oh, you got to check out the food trucks. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go up to the green room and I'm going to get free food. And I'll look out the window as I'm eating my free food at the food trucks. And that's pretty much what I did. Shelly, of course, she went to found this coffee one, and they had coffee in a bucket, it was called. And they literally served you coffee in a bucket. And so that was kind of a novelty thing. I don't know how much that coffee cost, but anyway, so she had that, and like there was some popcorn or something, just so they had like they had fair food set up out there, like USA Hamburgers, best hamburger in the world or something like that. And it was like $18 for a hamburger. I go, it better be the best hamburger in the world. And but then they had food trucks out there along with some of the, like I said, the fairgrounds type uh, eateries that would normally be there during the the regular fair. It was just it was really well set up, and we had a good time. And the most amazing story is that Shelly went back to the hotel room early one day, and they said, "Oh, are you in room such and such?" And she said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, the cleaning crew was up there, and apparently they leaned on the window and pushed the window and the frame out. We were on the third floor, so the window glass fell all the way down to the parking lot, shattered." And they were like, "Well, they're like, we don't really have another place to put you. Maybe we can move you to another room that maybe is open or whatever." And Shelly said, because the maintenance guys were like not there. It was the weekend, right? They didn't have any maintenance guys. So Shelly goes, "Do you have cardboard?" And they said, "Yes." I go, "Do you have duct tape?" They said, "Yes." He goes, "Well, just cardboard it up. We're on the third floor. It's not like anybody's going to crawl into our room." And it said, "As long as you keep the bugs out, we're cool." So that's what they did. They duct taped our room with cardboard in the window, and the show continued to go on, which was the inspiration for me running late today to do the show anyway, rather than cancel. Let's see who else has joined me on this festive and joyous day. There's Duck Bacon, speak of the devil. There's Stealth X5. How about that? Passmaster Dan is here. Citizen Ronan. Dave DiPietro. Dave DiPietro. "Hey, Aaron, waiting for my eyes to be dazzled with this warm Sunday evening." Yeah, I'll wake you up when something interesting happens. Let's see who else we got here. Citizen Ronan, when you're on the wrong stream, Dave. Oh, then you're on the wrong stream, Dave. Wow. Citizen Ronan doing great promotional work on behest of the show. There you go. Thank you for contributing, Citizen Ronan. Let's see what else we got here. Marcus Killer Group, purveyor of all things pop culture knowledge, has decided to join us. Let's see. Major Corn Dog is here. Jerry Rasco says hail to Aaron and the chat. So he's very welcoming both to me and to you, which I think that's very nice. And the Spaceman is here. Ken and Diana are joining us. Thank you guys. Appreciate it very much. Stealth X5 throwing $2 my way, says hello. Thank you. Hello back to you. Appreciate that very much. Let's see. Dang it, Aaron. I was karate chopping my spam cannon. You interrupted me. No caps. I don't know. I'm not going to read your name. All I do is well, you can see the rest of it there. Major Corn Dog. So tomorrow I send you a reminder for what? Torchbearer Studios is here. How about that? Kellraiser is joining us. Eric N. Boyd is in the chat. Thank you, Eric. There's Geek right there. Angela Curry, the chocolate lady, has joined us. Thank you so much, Angela. Appreciate that. We ate all of your chocolate, by the way. Oh, no, I didn't. She got us one thing. She said, you got to do this on the show. And like I said, not really prepared. But now I do have something that Angela said she wanted me to try on the air, and we'll try that during snack time here in a minute. So courtesy of Angela Curry, we shall see what we shall see. Let's see who else we got here. Geek Avenger, $2. Thank you. We got to meet Shelly and see Aaron again. Indeed, you did. And you brought us neck fans, which I thought was very, very generous of you. And I can't wait till it gets like super hot up here so I can wear your neck fan, which I will do. Yeah, let's see here. There's Squeaky. Eric Boyd said golf cart transportation free to the elderly. I take it. I feel like there's an insinuation there. Although I usually don't lash out at people that tell the truth. And now that I'm the big 6-0, how do I deny the fact that I am elderly? All righty. Well, what are you going to do? Time waits for no one, passes you by. Okay. I think that was in a Bugs Bunny cartoon I saw once. Ronan said, did you see the Sasquatch at the con? He was there. Did I? Wait a minute, Ronan, were you there? Because if you were there, I don't remember you identifying yourself as Ronan. So we'll have to clear that up. Paul Ogg, there we go. Paul Ogg was there for Friday. Was it Friday? I think it was Friday. He was there all day Friday and kind of hung out. We chatted. Paul's a good guy. Thank you. Let's see. Michael Dietsch is here. Torchbearer Studios. I think I already said that, but what the heck? Why not twice? He says, Aaron, what did you buy at the show? We want to see some slab comics. I will share later. That's all part of the experience. Let's see. GJ Martinez has joined us. Thank you, GJ, all the way from Texas. Let's see here. It says, what a fine painting you have back there. Indeed, and I shall show it closer later in the show. That's kind of a little teaser back there. Let's see here. Steve Miller talks. He says, I'll be dropping in and out, but hello to all. Well, thank you, Steve, for taking the time to drop in and out. I appreciate it. Thank you. Frankie is there. He must have just rolled in. Jerry says, my wife got me one of those neck fans a few years ago. They work great, even when it hits 100 plus here in Texas. Highly recommended. I tried it out, but it wasn't really hot in the pavilion we were in. So but it seemed to work really well. Shelly was like, oh, you got to try this. This works really well. And I did, and it did. So I'm sure when those hot summer days start rolling in and I'm up here upstairs, I'll be making good use of those. Danky's got it right. He says, Aaron Live isn't just a show. It's an experience. He claims. I do claim it. I own it. I will. I'll take that to my grave. This is an experience. Oh, you know what? I'm glad you brought this up. Yeah, I saw it. Okay. Here's the thing. First of all, why was I not contacted to redesign? Okay, no, the first question is, why do we need new horror hosts? I don't think we do, but they went ahead and designed new horror hosts, but did not talk to me. Let me dig this up. They did not talk to me. They didn't say, hey, Aaron, we'd love to see you contribute to our new horror hosts. And, no one said that to me. No, I didn't get a phone call. I didn't get any email. So a little miffed about the whole thing. I don't know the EC folks personal, so I can't call them up and go, hey, what's the deal? But anyway, there they are. This was brought to my attention by Phil Diaz, also known as Merv the Astro Chimp. And I don't really like the chick because scary, ugly chicks give me the creeps. So, the Undertaker's fine. I'm not sure who that the Grim Inquisitor is. So, I'm not going to say anything negative just because I wasn't contacted to design these characters. I could be bitter, I could be jealous and bitter, but I'm not. So, but I'm not going to criticize. I'm just going to say you should have contacted me. I don't know who drew this. Is that a signature? No, I don't think it is. I thought it was. It kind of, I'm not even going to say. I was going to say it kind of looks like old Gary Frank, but I don't think it is. But yeah, that's kind of my thing. Is like, why? I think the Crypt Keeper, the Vault Keeper, the Old Witch are perfectly fine hosts, horror hosts, and classics. So just keep the same horror hosts, and but people got to do stuff for the new generation, I guess. There's my rendition of the Vault Keeper from the Vault of Horror. That's cousin Erie over here. So I did that's my version of the Vault Keeper, based on Johnny Craig's drawings, of course. And then we've got the Crypt Keeper, based on Jack Davis's drawings, not the television show, and then the Old Witch, of course, from the Haunt of Fear, based on Graham Ingalls' drawings. So, this is what they're leaving on the table. Okay, go figure. But anyway, we'll see. My feeling is, my gut reaction is that it's kind of be over the top, R-rated type stuff, gratuitous. And you might be able to argue that the ECs were in the 50s were inappropriate, but they were, there was some, like comic book baseball game where they used the guy's organs and entrails for the bases and stuff. It was kind of gross, but for the most part, it wasn't that grotesque and over the top. But it was all sort of part of the humor, the dark humor of the books. And when it was being drawn by certain guys that sort of gave, like anything Jack Davis drew, always had just a little bit of whimsy involved, even these horrific stories. So they didn't seem quite so graphic. And this, I'm wondering if it's just going to be like over the top gross. And, so we'll see. We'll see. Of course, if they contact me to write and draw a tale, I would be more than happy to contribute to the success of the new line of EC Comics. But we shall see. We shall see. All righty. Well, this has been a great show so far, isn't it? It's just been over the top. And but let's get this thing rolling in the right direction. And the first thing we got to do here is we got to have a little chow, little snacky.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Angela Curry brought me some chocolate, as she promised. They're fine chocolates since 1926, but these are actually chocolate-covered potato chips, ladies and gentlemen. I've never had anything quite like it, and we're going to try it out and see. Now, as you guys, those of you who are regulars and know that I'll eat just about anything you send me. Graham Nolan tried to get me with pickled Brussels sprouts, which were actually really good, and I actually like them. So that failed. But he did send me a DVD of Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, which was a success at turning my stomach. And then, but then somebody, I can't remember who, you have to remind me, somebody sent me pickled watermelon rinds, and that was the most disgusting thing I've ever eaten in my life. But I ate it. One. So anyway, let's give this a shot here. Okay, here's here's what it looks like. It smells good. There you go. So chocolate covered potato chips. Should I start big? Let's just dive right in. Here we go. Well, if I'm going to be honest, and I am honest, you don't really taste the potato chip. I taste the chocolate, which is my favorite thing. So, and the potato chip adds crunchiness to it, but not a whole lot flavor-wise. So I'm going to say, A minus. The chocolate's good. The potato chip is crunchy, which kind of adds a little something to it, but it doesn't really give you the flavor. So, but look how thick that chocolate is. You get a lot of chocolate. It kind of has the texture of a Nestle's Crunch Bar. Terror movie trailer says it's more the sweet and salty aspect. Yeah, but it's not really that salty. I'm not getting that. I'm just getting the chocolate and the crunchiness of the chips. And now maybe if I hit another one, which I'm sure to do, I might have a little different outcome. We shall see. But anyway, that is my snack for today. Now let's take a moment and take a look at the Frazetta of the day. And I want you to take, as you look at this piece, it's another creepy magazine cover. Just take a look at the guy in the foreground and take special note of his stance, his posture, body language, whatever. And we will discuss that on the back end of this video. So here we go. It's your Frazetta for the day. All right, suddenly I can't stop eating these. I better close it down. I have to have one more, and that's it. That's it. I'm shutting her down. Also, I didn't have any lunch, so not that this is a good choice for lunch. Kids, Duck Bacon's daughter, if you're watching, don't eat chocolate-covered potato chips for lunch. I'm a professional. Okay, so if there was any doubt in your mind, and I'm not saying there was, but if there was any doubt in your mind that Wrightson was inspired by Frazetta, this picture puts it to sleep. The pose of the guy in the foreground, standing there with his hand out, and back, that is, if Wrightson drew it, it would look almost exactly the same way. That is it's a Frazetta pose, but Wrightson did very similar things throughout his career. And so you can see just in that single pose how much of a Frazetta influence, or an influence that Frazetta was on Bernie Wrightson. So I'm addicted now. Oh, crap. 10-second roll. Tastes fine. All right. Paul Taylor says, I'm cooking spaghetti right now. Another half hour, it'll be ready. My daughter's downstairs. What are we having for dinner? I go, talk to me after the show, man. I'm running late. I don't have time for this stuff. There it is, right there. Nailed it. Yep. All right, Jerry, Private Detective Jerry Rasco says, took some digging, pardon the pun, but that EC cover appears to have been drawn by Dustin Weaver. Now, no offense to Dustin Weaver, but I don't know who that is. And I'm not one to criticize artwork or anything like that, or, do critical analysis of stuff. So I'm just going to say, they didn't hire me. Isn't that cool? Like that, you look through a water glass at right. Look at that. It's the simple things in life. All right. No more chocolate covered potato chips during the show. After the show, look out. Okay. Now let's see. Where are we here? Tippy Tail McKitty, I got half my roof done this weekend. Okay. He says done, but he meant done. I got half my roof done this weekend. My coworker is doing it and saving me $6,000. I rue the day. No, I fear the day that I'm gonna have to replace my roof. And it's like getting close to that 25-year mark. And they're supposed to go 25 to 30 years, and ours is in pretty good shape, but that is one expensive venture. That is for sure. Geek Avenger for $2. Thank you, Geek. The writing coat reminded me of Sherlock Holmes. It kind of did, didn't it? But that figure reminded me of Wrightson more than it reminded me of Sherlock Holmes. So there. Did I miss someone? No, we did not. Okay, good. All right, so Creative Faces, I recently came across an early interview you did with Art to Bear about launching Garbage Man. Yeah, I'm all over the internet. My goodness, that was, because what happened with that obviously was I got a roof comment here. Keep it until it leaks. Cost my dad. I know. It's probably cost me more than that. Anyway, before I got into the Comics Gate scene, man, that sounds like a beatnik. Man, before I got into the scene, man, I wanted to kind of dip my toe in the water, so to speak. I was still working at DC. And I thought, well, you go ahead and try and put together a Garbage Man campaign. And the thing with Garbage Man was although I owned the rights to it, the stories that I did for DC had Batman in them, or some of the stories had. I mean, Batman was in the overall story arc, but he wasn't in every issue. So he had to be removed. That means I had to redraw, rewrite, and get it inked and colored to pretty much match what was in the book. So there was some overhead cost to it. Now, with my new formulated indie mindset, I would have just got the pages done, paid out of pocket to the people that needed to do the extra work, and then went ahead with it. But look, there's a dog creeping around. But what I did was I thought, well, I'll just crowdfund it, because Ethan had just made like over $1 million on Cyberfrog. I said, which I never. You never have expectations that lofty, right? That's the kind of stuff that just sort of happens and surprises you. So I didn't certainly have any expectations like that, but I thought, well, I can raise enough. And so I went through this whole scenario. I figured out how much it's going to cost to publish the book, to print it, and then how much I had to pay, myself to do the penciling, and how much I had to pay Matt to ink it, and how much I had to pay my colorist to color it. And so I got all this figured out, and I figured, and then you take out the percentages and the shipping and all that kind of stuff. So you figure, okay, I've got to I think I needed to make like 35,000 or something like that. I can't remember exactly what the number was. It might've been 30. And so I just launched it, and I didn't understand the importance of doing what I'm doing right now, which is, YouTubing. So I did a few interviews, like I showed up on an art show, and I actually went on Ethan's show, but I went on for an hour. Can you imagine Ethan doing anything for an hour or less? So he's doing his show, and he's like, I'm on there talking for an hour, but then I had to leave to pick my daughter up from dance class, right? So he's like, where are you going? I'm like, I got to pick my daughter up. What do you want me to do, man? And so they kind of had a laugh at my expense going, well, Aaron's not putting much effort into this, to get this funded. I just didn't get it. I didn't understand that when you do a launch stream or, you're on for as many hours as you can stay on. And so it didn't fund. It made about 16,000, I think. And so I had to cancel the whole thing. And I was like, well, this crowdfunding stuff doesn't work. And I went on my merry way working for DC, but understanding that, when it failed, that's when you start to look back and go, okay, why didn't this fund? What was the problem? What happened? And I learned many a lesson, and that's when I started my YouTube channel. I think I was still working at DC when I started doing YouTubing because I knew it was going to take a while to, get enough of an audience that you could maybe promote something and have it be successful. So anyway, that's how I kind of approached the Garbage Man originally. And then what I ended up doing was taking it and to Dark Horse, because Mike Richardson came up to me at a Portland show and said, hey, I need content. You got anything? I'm like, yeah, actually I do. And so, you're not going to get much of a budget when you're doing a creator-owned thing at Dark Horse or any of these other publishers, really. But I did get enough money to pay Matt and my colorist and a few bucks for myself. It basically covered the advance I got covered my page rate, Matt's page rate, and the colorist's page rate. And then I just gave it to them, and they put the whole thing together and put it out. And that's the book that you see, the trade paperback collected of Garbage Man. That's where I got it. It was published by Dark Horse, and they didn't sell hardly any. So I bought more from them myself to then resell on my campaigns. So it's kind of an expensive. It's not a real high profit book for me because I'm paying wholesale for it, but still, a considerable amount of money. And then, then selling it to you guys at what I try to think is a reasonable price for a signed trade paperback. But anyway, so that's the history of the Garbage Man trade paperback. But I learned my lesson and then launched, of course, with Wraith of God, and we have a different story now. And here we are. Geek Avenger for $2 says, I'm muted except for super chats. I didn't do that. I have to... I don't even know how to fix that. I would have to... You have to go like deep into the bowels of YouTube and find out why. Like sometimes people appeared on my list, and I never muted them. I gotta remember now. Do I go to manage videos? I'm sure this is just incredibly entertaining for all of you as I'm trying to figure this out. You have to go to, is it customization? No. Comments? No. I've had to do this once before, but I had to. It took me a while. Audience. Here we go. Subscribers, bell notifications. Age and gender. Wow, look at this. 99% of my audience is male, according to this. And basically less than 99.4. And then 0.6% is female. And most of my audience is 45 to 54 years old. Yeah, baby. I have no 18 to 24-year-old viewers. Can you believe that? Why wouldn't 18 to 24-year-old viewers tune in to listen to a 60-year-old comic book artist and writer talk about his adventures? It's just outrageous. I do have 55 to 64. I has 20% of my audience, so that's not bad. All right, so I still haven't found the... I'm just going to have to do this later. I'm sorry, Geek. I guess if you want to talk to me, you're going to You're going to have to use squeakies, or you're going to have to send me money, which I support. I support everyone doing that, of course. Now we got everybody giving me their age. Tippy with Kitty's 52. CJ Noodlehouse is 54. Auntie Entity says she's part of the 0.6%. Paul Taylor, 58 years old. Steve Miller Talks is 56. Stealth X5 says I'm under 40, but that's as much. That's like Anna, the Star Wars girl. Very cagey about it, talking about her age, her height. I haven't asked her about her weight, but I'm guessing she wouldn't be offering that up either. Danky Frankie says that 0.5 is Angela Curry. Just about Angela, Creative Faye, and Anti-Entity. And then occasionally we get Queen Mickey in the chat as well. It's Noodle House. There we go. Says, hi, Aaron. It's Geek Avenger. It's my alternate account. It's pretty wily, and I'm pretty wily in my old age. More wily than me, apparently. But okay, so CG Noodle is now Geek Avenger, or Geek Avenger is now CJ Noodle until I can get that fixed on the old YouTube trail. Yeah, Anna's pregnant. Don't go there. Yeah, I wouldn't talk about her weight while she's pregnant, unless I said, well, what was your pre-pregnancy weight? Then maybe. Oh, she's not going to say how tall she is. And I know, I've stood next to her. I met her in person. She's very tiny. So like 5'2", 5'3"-ish, I think. But maybe she's taller than that. I'd hate to insult her by saying that she's that tiny. But if she won't tell me, all I can do is speculate. 4'10", maybe? I don't know. She's not that tiny. Okay. Anyway. Dumbest Name says 18-year-olds watch TikTok and play Fortnite. Yeah, I guess they do, don't they? Citizen Rona says Anna is 67 and 6'3". Wow. I didn't have any idea she was that old. Yeah, Paul's confirming she's like 5'2". I think that is about right, because I was surprised at how tiny she was. Them young folks, they love the manga. And us old folks, we just do not get it. John Porton says, thank you, Mr. Lopresti. No. Thank you, John. I don't know what you're thanking me for. Probably something, but at least he got to hit the like button again. Yeah, hit the like and subscribe. Let's all do that. That's that's almost like a video game, really. It's very short though. But where's my thing? I've got so many. Here it is. Yeah, hitting the like and subscribe. We've got to grow this channel, man. I'm at a measly 3,800. I got to pass all these other guys, man. All these other pretenders. The cream must rise to the top, right? So, and I can only do that. I'm of course referring to myself as the very sweet cream. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. But anyway, push me to the top by hitting like and subscribe. Let's see here. Terror Movie Trailer says, I put $1 in and out pops 4 quarters. I win every time. Wow. I'm going to start trying that. Oh, no. No, nobody sounds quite as bad as Joe Biden does these days. Boy, that was, yeah. Anyway, we don't really go into politics here on this show, but that debate was terrifying. For all the right reasons and all the wrong reasons. Okay. Custom God says the grease also rises to the top. I'll take that. I'll be the grease. Let's just push up to the top. Okay. I did, despite the fact that I'm completely unprepared to do this show, I did do some preparation. I just have to find it. Should we do Heinrich Kley or should we do like bad movies? Let's do bad movies first and then do Heinrich Kley. No, let's do Heinrich Kley first and bad movies after that. Because bad movies That could end up being longer than I'm thinking. Oh, Citizen Ronan showing. Show us the painting. Okay. Why don't we do? Okay, we'll do this. We'll do the Kit Carter update, and then we'll do Heinrich Kley. Excuse me. Then we'll do bad movies. Oh, we also got to do the comic book. Oh, I got plenty of stuff to do. All right, let's do our Kit Carter update first, and then I'll show you what actually. Then I'll show you what I got from SummerCon. That's what I'll do. It's all coming together. You know, there's nothing like doing some nice programming while you're on the air. Okay, so oh God, these are calling to me right now. I gotta hide these. Okay, no, I'm not gonna eat anymore. Okay, what did I just say I was gonna do? Oh yes, Kit Carter. It's madness. It's a madhouse. A madhouse. Planet of the Apes, in case you're interested, which is not a bad movie. It is a great movie. All right. Okay, so Kit Carter, Planet Doom, the graphic novel. You'll find a link in the description of this video. Where are we at on this? $122,364. Not bad, not bad. 1,351 backers. Excellent. Thank you all that have backed. If you have not backed, please consider doing so. The book is done. Okay, let's just get that out of the way. The book is done, at least on my end. It's getting lettered right now. Kelsey has turned in over half the pages fully colored. Every page in the book has color on it. It's just they're not all completed. So I'm not expecting to be much longer before the entire book is colored, but it is getting lettered. The pages I have are getting lettered. But that's not all, folks. That's not all. Let me quick give you a rundown here. If you're unfamiliar with this property, it's a humorous sci-fi adventure with sort of a 1950s comic book sci-fi B-movie vibe to it. Kit Carter's a galactic ranger, and she has her partner Merv the Astro Chimp, and they fight crime throughout the universe. And this particular episode, if you will, this graphic novel story, she tries to take down Lord Menace, who rules Planet Doom with an iron fist. He's stolen the Eye of Omniman, which is one of the great powers in the universe. And he's using that power not only to regenerate his dying planet, but to use its power to conquer his neighboring planets. He's just not a nice guy. Kit's got to stop him. And there's Planet Doom is full of monsters and weird creatures and aliens, and it's a good time to be had by all. So you don't want to miss this. Lots of action, lots of adventure, lots of humor. It's just a fun read. So you have the hardcover edition, which you're seeing right here. That'll be signed and numbered, limited to, I think, 750 copies, give or take. And it also has a tipped in 8-page gallery of Kit Carter art, never before seen. But if you're saying that, Aaron, that's too much money, I'm just not going to do that. It's okay. I've got the soft cover version for you, which is Kit Carter Planet Doom. It's the same interiors, just doesn't have the art gallery in it, but it's 66 pages now, with a great painted cover by Chris Stevens. Here's some of the interior. That, of course, is Schmagma, the Lava Man. And there we have Lord Menace in his throne room on Planet Doom, talking to one of his court. This is the Seer. He has one eye, but he can see a lot. It's a big eye. Here's the back cover to both books by our own Dan Lawless. Very saucy, sort of pin-up-y 40s, 50s style approach. Gary Martin did this. This will be in the art gallery of the hardcover only. Sorry, guys. This you'll find in the this was originally going to be the cover, and I changed my mind. So this will be in the art gallery now of the hardcover. This baby right here, you see this? You see this? This is 8.5 by 11. So it's a large format sketchbook. Now it's going to be saddle stitched, which means stapled. It's not going to be square bound. because of the page count. It's 32 pages. And this comes signed. Does it come signed and numbered? I don't know. I don't even remember. Full colored signed sketchbook. Okay. But it's not going to be numbered. It's going to be signed. But anyway, this has like over 10 years of Kit Carter material in it that like from my sketchbooks and stuff. So a lot of stuff that I'm sure most of you haven't seen. This is completely assembled. Well, at least on my end, although I should say it's not assembled. Everything's formatted, and I just sent it to the designer yesterday. I assume he'll have it assembled for printing within a couple of days, and we'll get it to the printer before the 4th of July. Okay, so that's off my list of things to do. Now, next on the list is this baby right here. Now, this is pretty much what the poster, the bottom half of the poster will look like. But this, let me show you what the top part of the poster will look like. Yes, it is a completed, very colorful. Let me make myself large, if I may, pardon the expression. There we go. So it's Kit Carter Planet Doom movie poster art right here. It's an acrylic painting. And I'll get this scanned tomorrow because it's 18 by 24, so I can't scan it here. I might try and scan it, piece it together, but I don't think I can. I think I'll just go have it shot by someone. And so this is the poster art that goes on the insert movie poster. It'll be 14 by 36 inches. Unless you got the Kit Carter completist, which is everything in a big box, this will be mailed separately in a tube, but it will be signed as well. So there it is, folks. A month in the making, me working on this painting while I was doing other things, but it is done. Now, I'm not saying I won't mess around with it tonight because I usually do before I actually get it scanned. I got to send it over to Joe Jusko and get his opinion on it too before I call it a night for sure. But anyway, so that's the campaign, and that's the campaign update. So really, I've got a little list here that I've been marking off of all the stuff I have to do. These are the t-shirt orders. The t-shirt orders are in. So those are already in with the printer. I've got to put together the tipped in gallery section, which is 8 pages. That's no big deal. I'll get that done. I still haven't ordered the shipping boxes, but I got to do that. And then all the Kit Carter headshots. All of you that ordered the Kit Carter Completist get a free, or not a free, but it's part of the package. You get a Kit Carter headshot, original art. So I do 66 of those. I've done 10. So I better get cracking on those. And then, of course, at the very top of the list, paint poster. I guess I can cross that off. So everything that I can do artistically is now complete for this project. It's now just the editorial stage, putting everything in the production stage to get everything put together. Now, my turnaround time on the sketchbook is only 2 weeks. Now, I don't know if that's going to extend to the book itself, but that would be pretty nice if I could get it back in 2 weeks rather than 6 weeks. So we'll see. I obviously will send out updates, let you guys know when that book it goes to the printer and when we're expecting it back. So anyway, let's get a couple of super chats here before I forget. Stealth X5 for $5. Thank you, Stealth. I got the 3-pack a while back. Believe that has the hardcover. I think I ordered 2 shot glasses. That's a tremendous order. Thank you. Yes, if you got the 3-pack, you get the hardcover, the soft cover, and the sketchbook. The poster doesn't come with it. It's the sketchbook does. So that's pretty good. They're all 8.5 by 11. So the larger format be a nice, easy for us older audience, which we just found out by looking at my demographics that we have an older audience here. And so bigger pictures, easier to read. I think that's important. Paul Taylor, Canadian, $10. Thank you, Paul. Looking forward to reading the hardcover, Aaron. So what's the next project? Wraith 3? Indeed it is. Wraith of God, Fear Hollow. That's a good title. Wraith of God, Fear Hollow, Headless Horseman story, but it's much more than that. We get more background insight into the origin of the Wraith. We get more information. In fact, the villain that showed up in Blood Hunters, who basically assaulted the sheriff from the first story. We had a 2-page segment in there where we went back to Calamity, Arizona. That guy is a major player in this book, so we get a nice introduction to him, although he still remains mysterious. And of course, the continuing saga of the Wraith's relationship with Esther and where that's headed. And then you just got Headless Horseman action. So I'm telling you, as Stan Lee would say, you don't want to miss this one, true believers. So anyway, that'll be launching, but I won't launch it until we at least get the Kit Carter books back from the printer and I can start shipping. So probably the 1st of August. I wanted to do it in July, but things are as they are. So now if the books show up early in 2 weeks, maybe I can get it launched the week after San Diego. We'll see. And still be in July. But so keep your eyeballs peeled for that. And obviously I'll keep you guys updated on when that's going to happen. So anyway, there we go. Well, there's a town they go to, which I won't tell the name of. You'll have to read the book to get the name of the town. But there is a section of that town that they've nicknamed Fear Hollow because of this headless horseman who terrorized the town years before in that very same area. But will he be back? Oh, I think we know he will. So anyway, there you go. Thank you, Frankie. Gonna read it? I just watched the Disney version. Then I don't have to read. Reading is for smart people. Green Laser, what about Empirus? Yes, Empirus. David Williams will be gracing us with his art on a 10 to 12 page. We'll see how I haven't got the script completely finished for that yet. He will be doing the origin story of Empirus is as a backup in Wraith of God. Because as I explored these different possibilities and different ways to package books and properties, with Blood Hunters, we had 3 backup stories, and that was just too much. I mean, it was great for you guys. You got, it was great value, 103 pages or whatever it was. Great value for you guys, but it takes too much work on my end. It takes too long to get it out. So what I'm going to do is, I think I will go forward with the format of lead story, Wraith of God lead story that's, between 50 and 60 pages long, and then a backup story that's 10 to 12 pages long, and that'll give you a 72 pages worth of reading material, which I think is a good bargain for the $25 price tag that we've had to settle on for these books. Kit Carter is a little bit more because it's a larger format and a little bit more expensive to produce. But normal comic book size graphic novel stuff going forward that's kind of the format I'm going to work in. So, for Wraith of God 4, for example, maybe there's a Garbage Man backup story. Maybe there's a Nightclub backup story. Maybe there's yet another one of my IPs that I want to get out there, my fantasy thing or my barbarian thing or my sci-fi thing or my dinosaur thing. Any one of those could show up as a backup. So, now GJ Martinez wants to know more about Empirus, and I'll tell you why he wants to know more about it, because it directly ties in to his favorite character from the Lopresti-verse, that is, of course, Eon Chance. So all this stuff is connected. I'm not just like throwing stuff out there. It's all connected. So like a good connected universe should be. And then I'll just let you guys decide what you want to see more of and what you don't want to see more of. So anyway, there you go. Yeah, I do. It's called Space Raiders. Your dinosaur man thing? No, it's just a dinosaur thing. It's not a dinosaur man thing. That is called Primal Zone. And then I've got the fantasy Lord of the Rings thing called Warriors of the Light. And then there's, I still don't like that. That title is too passive. I need to change it, but I'll work on it. You know, and I got my superhero stuff. I got a ton of stuff. What I don't have is a ton of money, or I'd hire a bunch of people and just get it all done. So you guys could sit out there and, you know, you really would. I really would be battling Marvel for shelf space, but we shall see. We shall see how it progresses as we go along. But anyway, that is the Kit Carter update. Again, the link is in the description of this video. Probably going to be closing this thing down in about 2 weeks. As soon as this goes to the printer, it's going to be closed down. And I'll have a better idea of when that's going to happen once I get all the final colored pages in. But like I said, I'm thinking probably about 2 weeks. So if you haven't backed yet, don't wait too much longer. Okay. That was your long-winded public service announcement, and I thank you for your patronage. Okay, so let's take a look. Well, I guess I can run this intro, can I? It doesn't really make sense, but well, I guess it does because these things are now in my collection. So this is actually what I picked up at SummerCon we're going to look at, but I'm going to have to run this promo if I can freaking find it. Judas Priest, where is it? There it is. Here we go. Excuse me. Hay fever. Okay, so what's in my collection? Well, I'll tell you what's in my collection. My collection is full of stuff that I've now picked up from SummerCon. So we will switch cameras and go, go, go. Here we go. Yep. Now, my table's covered with paints because I've been painting, and I did not even have time to clean it. What a mess. You guys want to see my palette just for... this is my palette. This is called a wet palette used for acrylic paints because acrylic paints dry so fast that this actually keeps them wet so they don't dry as fast. But look at my palette. That's just for this painting. It's a complete disaster. It's like most people have like an organized palette. Yeah, mine started off organized like right down here, and then it just grew. This looks like a Jackson Pollock painting. Maybe I'll sell this. It might get, bring in more money than the Kit Carter poster. But anyway, yeah. So there we go. So there's like, there's a wet sponge underneath here. See? And this sponge under here is wet. And then you put this paper, this really tough paper on top, palette paper, and it kind of absorbs that moisture, and it keeps, so basically the paint is absorbing this moisture from the sponge, and it keeps it from drying out too quickly. So you go, and you keep the top on, which keeps the water from evaporating. It's really a miracle of science. About 20 bucks on Amazon. And they have smaller ones that are cheaper, and so forth and so on. Okay, so a lot of people brought me gifts. Creative Faye brought me a wonderful drawing of Kit Carter and Esther. And as we know, I almost grabbed another potato chip, but I'm not. Angela Curry brought me all that chocolate. It's wonderful. Geek Avenger and Squeaky brought us neck fans and little spray bottle fans. And but Sequential Treasures, James, he always feels the need to fill my spinner rack with comics, and it's getting full, but a lot of them are James. So I am kind of a closeted Kazar fan. So he picked me up some Kazar books, and they're not in great shape, and they're not supposed to be. These go in the spinner rack. So it's scripted by Mike Friedrich, drawn by Don Heck. Mike Esposito did the inking. How about that? And Roy Thomas edited it. So anyway, we got Kazar here. Now I have number 1, of course, in near mint condition. I have 10 and is it 10 and 11? Well, one of them has his origin in it, and I have that. And James, I think, got me one that was actually CGC 9.2 or 9.4 or something. But then he picked up all these. Shocking that Kazar would be in the dollar bin. But so he picked up all these for me. All these snazzy. Ooh, look at this. The nice Gil Kane covers. But John Buscema and Sonny Trinidad did the art in here. Buscema inked by one of the Filipino gang. Oh man, I love John Buscema. I didn't know he. Yeah, it's Buscema, all right. Those dinosaurs. Ew, pages stuck together. Let's see here. Ooh, I'm gonna have to read these. I don't ever have time to read comics, but gosh darn it, I'm gonna do it. So yeah, see, I mean this whole stack. Here's Kazar 12, a little nicer shape, but it's going in the rack, so it doesn't matter. Now this is Russ Heath. How about that? Who would have thought? So you got a little Buscema, a little Russ Heath. Russ, of course, best known for his war comics, but nice looking stuff by Russ Heath. And who did I say was in the first one here, number 5? Oh, right. Don Heck. So legendary Don Heck does that issue. Then we got Buscema in here and Russ Heath in there. And we got one more here, one more issue of Kazar. Now, this is the stuff that was gifted to me. This isn't even the stuff I bought, so we'll get to that in a minute. Gil Kane looks like inked by, I was going to say Jansen, but that's not Jansen. I'm not sure who inked that, but you got Claw. Who did the insides? Val Merrick, inked by Ernie Chan. So, boy, they didn't keep the same artist on here very much. Apparently, Kazar was the, hey, we need an issue of Kazar done. Can you do it? Yeah, okay. But never a regular artist, apparently. Kind of has a John Carter vibe right there, doesn't it? It's the green guys in the helmets. Look at all these ads. So yeah, there you go. Some nice Val Merrick work. I haven't seen Val in a while. He moved to Texas. He left Oregon, moved to Texas. I've got a feeling he's a wise man. Now he does like fine art painting, but it's like dinosaurs and cowboys or something. Pretty cool stuff. Valley of Gwangi all the way. Okay, so now James always pays attention to everything you say. And I once said this is one of my favorite Simonson covers on his Thor run. You got Thor down here, but look at the composition. How this winds you around and takes you right to Thor. That big, massive monster. This is just a great composition. And who would think to do that for a cover? Well, I'll tell you who. The great Walter Simonson would do that on a cover. JG Martinez is saying, Aaron, if you have the time to give us a Conan-like book, that would really cook it, sir. Thank you. I would love to. And I keep toying with the idea of doing a Savage Tales black and white magazine, but I'd have to fit it in. This is actually high grade, but that's okay. I've got one already, so we'll put it in the spinner. And it's got Simonson. Simonson was still doing the artwork on the inside. These are just great. I've always been a Thor fan, but this kind of made me a really big Thor fan, and I was completely unaware of Walter's work until this, which is pretty embarrassing because I think this came out in 81. When his first issue was 83. Yeah, probably 83 or somewhere in that neighborhood. Early 80s. And but yeah, I was unfamiliar with him until this came out, and everybody was talking about it. So I had to check it out, and all the talk was legit. I mean, what a fantastic run by our good friend of the show, Walter Simonson. Okay, now he also grabbed me this, which is funny because I picked up one earlier myself, but this one looks like it's in better condition than mine. So my copy will go in the spinner rack. This may go into my collection. But speaking of Walter Simonson, Uncanny X-Men and New Teen Titans. I never read this. I still haven't read it. Apocalypse Now, get it? That's a joke. So yeah, so you got all this crazy Simonson stuff, and the with the X-Men, and then it's the New Teen Titans. That must have been the weirdest feeling doing crossovers like this, you know, in the same book. You know, you got Batman or Robin in here along with the X-Men, and there's Wolverine on one page. And so, yeah, I think this was the last crossover before, shall we say, relationships broke down between the two companies. But anyway, I think I'm going to put this in my collection because this looks like it's in like a 9.4 or maybe even a 9.6-ish kind of degree. So I might put that in my collection and stick my copy in the spinner rack. So thank you, James, also known as Sequential Treasures, for those gifts. He also threw these my way. So I guess I'll draw on these at some point and maybe put them up for sale. I don't know. So anyway, again, thank you, James. This comes from, doggone it, is this Geek Avenger? Well, wait a minute. I guess I have more James stuff here I forgot about. So James also hooked me up with a couple of Doc Savage books for the spinner rack. I have this entire series in near mint condition, of course. But this has some really cool Rich Buckler covers and Ross Andrew interiors. This series only went 8 issues, about 1973, I want to say. That would have been about the last of the 20 centers before they went up to 25 cents. So yeah, Doc Savage, I loved this as a kid, but only made it 8 issues before it died. But yeah, I'm still a big Doc Savage fan. I love Doc Savage. So anyway, these go in the spinner rack. Thank you, James. Okay, now this one, I want to say Geek Avenger. Did Geek Avenger give me this? Let me know in the chat who gave me this. But come on, man. Yellow Claw. I love the Yellow Claw. He's incredibly politically incorrect. So it makes me love him even more. But a great Captain America villain from, I have his first appearance. And of course, he's in the first appearance of Nightshade, which is in Captain America 164, I believe. So we have another appearance here of him in the Avengers. This is drawn by Don Newton. How about that? Don Newton, who tragically died very young, was a fitness guy, drank a lot of raw milk. Unfortunately, got some raw milk that had bacteria in it, and it killed him. Inked by Dan Green, who's a terrific inker and artist in his own right. Jeff Potts says, I had the perfect cannonballable remark for Aaron earlier this week, and I've since forgotten it. Getting old sucks. Yeah, getting old does suck, but I'll give you one anyway for the effort. There you go. Always appreciate, like when we're looking at cryptid videos, I always appreciate good effort. You guys know that. CG Noodle, who also, of course, is a Geek Avenger, says, I sent you Zatanna because you had no Z's. Okay, that's what you sent me. Well, who gave me this? Did Leg Kick give me this? Oh, you know what? Leg Kick is not here. Now, Leg Kick, I used to say Leg Kick is here because Leg Kick is always here, but then I had to change it because he missed a week. And so his Leg Kick is here because he's almost always here. Now I'm going to have to change it to Leg Kick is here because he's nearly almost always here or something like that. Marcus Killigrew, a purveyor of all things pop culture knowledge, says one of the only Marvel comics Newton drew. How about that? I was unaware of that. I mean, I was associated with DC. Seeing him do an Avengers book, it's very interesting. So this caught my attention as well. I can't remember. Maybe Leg Kick. I can't remember who gave it to me. I know Leg Kick threw an Atari Force #1 on my chair, which I promptly sat on. But I wish I could remember who gave that to me. But anyway, thank you for all the gifts. Now let's take a quick look at what I gifted myself. Okay. Now this is a 9.4 Spider-Man 49. It's not slabbed. Okay. I was asking 150 for it. I got it for 100, so I felt pretty good about it. Now you're saying to yourself, other than the cool Gil Kane cover, why did you get this comic, Aaron? And let me tell you. Because of the cool Gil Kane cover. But not only that. Let's see here. Let me see. I was going to bring this comic out, and I forgot to do it because, of course, I was running late. Let me see if I can find the image real quick. See if it's on the old interwebs. There it is. How about that? Okay. Now, I'm going to have to put this up on screen and talk you through this. Okay, so we're all looking at that. I'll hold the comic up next to this image. Yeah, okay. Well, actually, you can see it. Okay, so see the girl in the foreground? Yeah. You got it, pal. Now, I didn't trace this or anything like that, but I used that imagery for, I was looking, when I was doing this letterbox or whatever they called them, cover, it wouldn't be a letterbox. What would they call these? Marcus Killigrew must know what these are called. This boxed format from the 20-cent days of Marvel, 1972, I think. They did them for a year, 73, 72. And I was looking for kind of a Gil Kane type cover to do. And I saw this Iron Man comic, right? This one right here. And I thought that's perfect. I can put Esther in the foreground and then have the action behind. Now, obviously, you see the action is very different in the background. But I basically flipped the image. Now, when I say flipped, I did not trace it or anything like that, but I used the same pose basically to kind of harken back to that. I was trying to create a Gil Kane type cover because I felt he did most of these covers for Marvel when they were in these square formats like this. And so I wanted to do something Gil Kane-y. And so this was the inspiration for this cover. And so I've been trying to find this book ever since. So it's like, if I'm going to rip it off, at least I should own the original, right? So yeah, so I got a nice 9.4 copy of this book. There you go. That's the story behind that. See, that's the great thing about this show. You learn something new every freaking day. James is questioning my, in quotes, inspiration. Well, is it an homage though? I mean, I guess maybe it is because it's not a total homage. I just used one of the characters' position. I mean, I guess you could say it's an homage, a very loose homage, but would you call it a swipe? I don't know if you call it a swipe because I think a swipe, you have to sort of like literally lift the drawing, don't you? I don't know. But anyway, I'm not hiding from it, obviously, or I wouldn't be promoting it on this show. So it's not like I'm trying to get away with anything. I'm just showing you guys that, sometimes that's how the mind works. There you go. Planned coincidence. No, I got a planned coincidence for you. I did a Hulk Destruction cover, which was a miniseries I did based on, I guess, the video game or something. And it's almost exactly like a Mike Zeck Hulk cover from an annual, and I'd never even seen it. And you hold them up next to her and you go, would you swipe Zeck? And I'm like, I didn't even know this comic existed. So that kind of stuff happens all the time just because there's so many covers. There's only so many positions you can put so many characters in, but it's pretty remarkable. I should look that up and show it someday. There you go. Jerry's got it. Definitely influence and inspiration, but not swipe or homage. Thank you. That's what I would say. That, and I'm sticking to it. Past Master Dan, he's coming clean, says your composition is your own, Aaron. I admire that. Thank you. I don't like swipe unless you're doing it for a specific reason, like I did with the Tomb of Dracula cover. I mean, that was specifically homage, swipe, whatever you want to call it, for a particular reason. And, no one's shocked by it or surprised by it. It's not like well, look at this great composition I came up with myself. But I did that because I was basically recruiting Tomb of Dracula, #1, with my own character, which happens to be a vampire. So I thought it fit really well and kind of the nostalgia thing. But I don't think this is a swipe. I think this, or an homage. I think this is just an inspiration. Okay, so the last book I got, and we'll debate that till we're blue in the face, right? Okay, so let me put these over here so I don't accidentally spill water on them. That would suck. Okay, here it is. Now this book, this is a nice 9.2 CBCS graded book. And this is Doctor Strange in this blue costume where he wore this blue mask, which I think lasted for like 5 or 6 issues, and that's it. I liked it. Most people did not like it, but I kind of liked it. It made him look more superhero-y and less like an old man. And you've got Juggernaut in it. So I wouldn't call it a key issue, but it's a nice crossover. And I've had a really hard time finding this reasonably priced because most people charge for 9.2 of this, they're charging $350 to $600. And it's just not worth that much. So I finally got it for what it's worth. Actually, a little under, actually. I think this is a $250 book. I think I got it for less than $200. So, keep the money on the floor. That's what I say. But I knew the dealer, so he gave me a really good deal. And he was having a crappy show, so I was like, he wanted to sell something, so he worked with me on this stuff. But this has been on my hit list just because I like the covers. Gene Colan, and I just haven't been able to find one at a decent price, and I finally got one. So, and it was the last box I was looking for. I was really having a hard time finding something that I thought I wanted to buy. And he goes, oh, by the way, I got one more book over there of CGC stuff. You want to take a look? I said, okay, one more box. And so I went over and I flipped through it, and it was literally the last book in the box. So I actually thumbed through every single one of them, and then it was the last one. And I went, oh my gosh, I actually want this. This is 1969. Eternity and Nightmare also appear in this. And of course, it's by Gene Colan and Tom Palmer. So, oh, that's right. He was asking $200 for it. I got it for $150. I got a great deal on this book. I would have paid $200 for it, but you gotta negotiate a little bit, right? And you go, hey. In fact, I just said, what's your best price on this? And he said, I'll give it to you for $150. You know what? Done. So anyway, there it is. So I spent $250 at the show, and this is what I got to show for it. And I'm quite pleased. So there you go. And I don't really collect Doctor Strange that much. I did the Bruner issues on the second series. And there's some Starlin issues and some Plug issues and some Barry Smith issues. So there's a lot of good artists that worked on it. But I go for covers. If I'm not collecting the series, I collect the covers that I like. And so Doctor Strange, I collect covers on his old, the old series. And so there you go. This is one of the better ones. The first issue where he has the blue costume, I have that. And then this is the second best cover in that little small stretch where he's in his blue costume, blue-faced costume. Anyway, there you go. 9.2, baby. Very collectible. Okay. That's what I got at SummerCon. That's the free stuff and the stuff I paid for. So, Derail Gaming says, right leg is nuts. Dude, criticizing, or I shouldn't say criticizing, critiquing Gene Colan's anatomy is like, I mean, that's just his thing, man. Either like it or you don't, you know. That is CBCS. They are the other graders. They actually do a better job, I think, of grading, but for some reason their books, this to me is just stupid. But you take a 9.2 of this book or any book graded by CBCS and take a 9.2 of any book graded by CGC and put them in auctions, the CGC book will sell for more. It's the dumbest thing, but there it is. But I don't really care. If I find a book I like in, I don't care who the grader. Well, I do. It's got to be CGC or CBCS, but I don't care between the two of them. I'll take whichever, Yeah, that is true. That is weird. Look at that, Master of the Black Magic. I don't think maybe they put that on there to try and pump up sales to make it seem edgier. I don't know, because he has been the mystic arts, like all of his current. But maybe in the 60s he was the black magic. Someone look that up for me. Sequential treasure. So this is what you spent the money I used to. Actually, it is. I put it aside and said, James, I'm going to keep it on the floor because I know that's what you'd want. So anyway, okay. Let's get into some serious stuff.
Orange whip. Orange whip. 3 orange whips.
That may be the funniest line in that movie. Don't get me started on the Blues Brothers. I know it's a classic, but anyway, let's take a look at our good friend Heinrich Kley. I dig that jazzy beat. If I went to New Orleans again, I would spend most of my time going into like these little alleyway side blues bars. I really would. I love the blues. I don't love jazz as much as I love the blues, but you do a little combo of both. I'm there. Okay, who the heck is Heinrich Kley? I know you're asking yourself that right now. Well, Heine, as his friends used to call him, that's not true. I don't know. They might have. I don't have any idea. Heinrich Kley was an illustrator who worked. Now, let's see. Let me read a little bio on Heinrich Kley for you guys. In 1937, Coronet magazine introduced Americans to the work of Heinrich Kley with the 3 special issues featuring Kley's wildly imaginative drawings of cavorting beasts, naked nymphs, dancing alligators, wicked demons, and lusty satyrs. Coronet readers easily believed the magazine's report that the creator of these bizarre images had died in a madhouse. The truth was more interesting, was it? Kley was actually still alive. It's interesting. He began and ended his career in relative obscurity as a conventional commercial artist who drew unremarkable pictures of industrial scenes. Photographs of Kley suggest a respectable middle-class banker, the last kind of person you'd expect to harbor devilish fantasies. Yet, starting when he already reached middle age, sounds like me, he became internationally famous for his cavalcade of subversive images drawn with the uncanny Quicksilver line. He prospered for several years, then abruptly withdrew from the public eye and spent his last years working quietly in a more conventional commercial art style. There are some books out on Amazon of the work of Heinrich Kley. Now, he was born in Karlsruhe, Germany in 1863. Interestingly enough, his art was banned by Hitler in the Third Reich. So he must have been doing something right. So he did all this boring stuff professionally as a commercial illustrator, but then he did interesting drawings like this to entertain himself. Now, if you're familiar with the works of guys like Peter de Sève, for example, who I just absolutely adore his work, he seems to have a lot of Heinrich Kley influence in his work. If you don't know who Peter de Sève is, we profiled him on this channel many months ago, but look him up as well. He has books out in his work, and you'll see the uncanny resemblance style-wise. Both brilliant guys. So this is the stuff that Kley became known for, and he wouldn't even have become known for it had it not been for, yes, you guessed it, Walt Disney. Walt Disney was a huge fan of Heinrich Kley's work and collected originals, apparently, from what I understand. And you can see, if you look at these illustrations, you can see the influence this stuff had on, like, Fantasia, for example. I don't think you missed any boobs. Citizen Ronan, look at this. Kley is fantastic. He knows of Kley. Look at that horse. Look at the gesture. I mean, they're not real tight, detailed drawings. These are just pen sketches, but they're so full of life and character. Now, he was also an able-bodied painter, although I found a really hard time finding anything painted. All I can find online is these this pen and ink drawings, because that's what he's best known for those who actually know. But he was, like I say, he was born in 1863, and he was formally trained as a painter and graduated from the Art Academy in 1885. So we're talking like a long time ago. Let's see. He promoted factories by day, but at night he'd draw a giant demon looming over an industrial buildings, or vandalizing a factory, or placing a hand over the smokestack to fill the building with smoke. He drew his wife standing nude in the middle of their apartment, picturing himself decorating her with flowers. He filled sketchbooks with grotesque drawings of anthropomorphized animals and satirical sketches of government officials and clergy. He drew bodily functions and Roman orgies and comic scenes with mythological characters. Kley didn't share these personal pictures with clients. He was modest and had little aptitude for self-promotion. Even in later years, after he became famous, he would try to avoid the press, saying, "I've already shared where I was born and in what year. I don't think you need to know much more about me." Said his private drawings leaked out to friends in 1908 when the artist was 45. A friend showed one of Kley's sketchbooks to a publisher of Simple Sisymus, a popular graphic arts magazine. He went on to become one of the most influential draftsmen of his generation. In 1964, Walt Disney proclaimed, "Without the wonderful drawings of Heinrich Kley, I could not conduct my art classes for my animators." The strong influence of Kley is apparent in Disney films such as Fantasia, which featured anthropomorphic animals. His influence is also clear in the work of illustrators that included Frazetta and cartoonists such as Walt Kelly. But anyway, there's more on that, but let's take a look at some more of his art. I mean, look at this. I mean, I know you guys have been while I was reading, but you got this naked woman painting. You got a satyr, or what do you call these guys, back here with a turtle on a leash eating her hat. I mean, come on. That's just crazy, but crazy fun. Look at this drawing. What's interesting about Kley is you didn't really see this sort of imaginative work, fantasy work, in that time period. It seems to kind of found its, I don't know, I prior to H.G. Wells, I'm kind of thinking, who did stuff like this? You know, in writing and stuff. I guess Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein, right? That's But you just don't see a lot of commercial illustration. It was drawing pirates and Western scenes and colonial scenes and things like that, but you didn't see this type of imaginative. Look at that like Creature from the Black Lagoon thing he's got going on there. And of course, these frumpy looking mermaids, I guess. Just incredible stuff. Look at these bears. And what's really kind of interesting about this is stuff he did to entertain himself. There was no outlet for this material at the time he was doing it. No one was publishing stuff like this. But I think the advent of pulp magazines probably really helped push this sort of fantasy element. And of course, the sci-fi works of H.G. Wells, and Bram Stoker's Dracula, things like that, I'm sure helped create more of a fantasy environment in literature and in pop culture. But yeah, his stuff is just, it's whimsical. It's full of life and motion. And here's a painting right here. And that's what they're talking about, like the devils or the demon. And it's interesting that he would combine those elements with the industrial elements, as you see here, this kind of metalworking stuff going on here. And you kind of wonder if he had some sort of resentment towards industrialization. Because you'll find a lot of drawings like they described in what I just read of him drawing satanic or demonic looking characters terrorizing industrial plants or hanging around industrial plants. And it makes you think that he had a little bit of animus towards the Industrial Revolution, or maybe just his employers, maybe the tediousness of drawing that stuff for money. And then he would fantasize about destroying it because it was driving him crazy. I don't know that for a fact, but I think that's fair speculation. Citizen Ronan has an excellent point here. He says he has so much confidence in his lines. Yeah, when you can sit there and just loosely, which we try to do at Graybeard Studio, but Kelsey's really, really good at it. The rest of us, are a little bit more measured in our the lines we put down. But yeah, that's a remarkable amount of confidence just to go in there and doodle something like that and bring it together. So Chuckles' shirt said, those drawings leaked out in 1998. All he had to do was deny. Let's see here. Oh, missed a chat here. We did say Geek Avenger said he sent me Zatanna because you had no Z's, right? That's in the rack. Okay. Fox Molder for $10. Thank you, Fox. Any update on next edition of original art to the KC campaign? To be honest with you, I have been so bogged down with getting that painting done and getting everything formatted and ready for printing and making sure all, like reordered shot glasses, got the trading cards taken care of, all that kind of stuff that I haven't even thought about it. The original pages for the Kit Carter book are in the possession of Matt Ryan at the moment, and we're going to split those up. And I maybe like the last week of the campaign, maybe that's what I'll do, because I have some pieces I could throw up there. I just haven't done it. And that's just because I have been prioritizing this other stuff. So thanks for reminding me of that, Fox. And I will send out an update and talk about to give everybody a heads up before I stick original artwork up there. But anyway, that is Heinrich Kley. If you guys are interested in, checking out his work, again, check out Amazon. And there's a couple of books there. They're not, outrageous, like one of those collector's books that are $150, $200 or whatever. So check that out. There's actually 2 volumes called The Lost Art of Heinrich Kley, and volume 1 and 2. And then there's another book, I believe. I think there's 3 of them floating around out there. So you want to check those out if you get a chance. Okay. Let's take a look at today's top 5. I couldn't help it. One more. Okay, now that one I can taste the potato chips in. Gosh. These are better than the candy, just a straight up candy. Wow. I never thought I'd say that. Okay. Enough of this tomfoolery. Let's get down to business. I'd like to drop in a couple honorable mentions. What I did here was I took my top 5 bad movies, meaning not my top 5 guilty pleasures like Commando, which everybody knows is a terrible movie, but everybody loves it because it's a great movie. But it's a terrible movie. But it's a great movie. These are just terrible movies. These are my top 5. Now, everything on this list, to qualify for this list, I would actually have had to seen it. One of the problems with bad movies is, of course, if you read reviews like I do, if some movie gets really, really bad reviews, I probably won't go see it. So I looked up a list to kind of jog my memory, because when I first thought of this, I thought, I don't know if I can come up with 5, movies that I would say were just universally bad. So what I did was I looked up 100 worst movies of all time, 40 worst movies. I went through some lists, and the majority of them I'd never seen. I'd heard of, but never saw because I heard they were bad. So I just never saw them, right? But it did jog my memory. And I was like, some of the ones I did see, I was like, oh yeah, that was horrible. Oh yeah, I saw that. That was sucked. So anyway, I used the help of some online lists to kind of jog my memory about some really bad movies that I've seen. But I want to do a couple of runners up, if you will. This first one is just, I'm not going to bring up a visual, but the first one is Glen or Glenda by Ed Wood, who, of course, is widely considered the worst filmmaker of all time and created some of the worst films of all time, like Bride of the Monster, Plan 9 from Outer Space. But he also did this movie called Glen or Glenda, which was about a transvestite, which I guess was sort of autobiographical. I don't know. This guy that liked to dress in women's clothing, right? It is. And this movie, I think, is only, I don't think it's an hour and a half long. I think it's like an hour and 15 minutes or something. It feels like 3 freaking hours. It is so bad. And it's so bizarre, and it makes no sense. And it's just awful. And it's not even funny awful. Like Plan 9 from Outer Space has some, some humor, not unintentional, but it has some humor in it. Bride of the Monster has Bela Lugosi in it, sort of. And, there's some goofiness in it, Tor Johnson, things like that. Glen or Glenda, just horrible. Now, the reason it's not on this list is because when I went to see it, I knew it was going to be horrible. But I went to see it. It was an Ed Wood Film Festival here in Portland, only in Portland. And I went to see it with my brother-in-law and another friend. And we were just like, dear Lord, this is bad. It was atrocious. It was so bad. And, but I expected it to be bad. It was worse than I expected, but I expected it to be bad. So I didn't really count it on my top 5 list of bad movies because I wanted to focus more on movies that I went to the theater thinking, this is going to be good. And it wasn't, because that really punches you in the gut, right? You go, I want my money back. When you pay to see a bad movie, well, you get what you pay for. But you pay to see a good movie and get a bad movie, that stings. Justin Side says, Aaron, have you seen the trailer for Robert Eggers' Nosferatu? Looks great. He's a great creepy director. It looks very promising. Looks very promising. I'm looking forward to it, actually. He's like, oh, man, you had to watch it. Oh, I watched it at the theater. Along with Plan 9. I was so grateful when Plan 9 came on, because it's like Plan 9 was, used to be considered the worst film ever made. But it's so ridiculous. It was a sci-fi, right? It's funny. People are laughing. Glenda, people are like, turn this off, please. But anyway, my second honorable mention is Batman and Robin, where George Clooney plays Batman. And Joel Schumacher. Why was he ever given this franchise? It just blows my mind. Now, I'll be the first to admit I'm not, I'm very hit or miss with Tim Burton. I think, speaking of Ed Wood, I think Ed Wood, directed by Tim Burton, is a brilliant film. I love it. But then I see a lot of his other stuff and I'm kind of like, eh. I don't think Beetlejuice was like all that funny. I just think Michael Keaton was hilarious in it. But, it's good enough. Without, when he's not on screen, there's still enough going on that it's a nice film. Edward Scissorhands, that was, all of his stuff is just so weird. But so I was not a huge Batman fan. Okay. When the first one came out, I was a little disappointed actually when I saw it, because I felt it was too cartoonish. And, but he was able to get away with it because of his oddball sensibilities that made it more than just a cartoonish spoof. It became actually its own thing, and Batman 2 is half of it is a really good movie. The half with Catwoman and Batman and their relationship, and then Selena Kyle and Bruce Wayne's relationship. That was really, really good stuff. The Penguin stuff I just found annoying, and the Max Schreck stuff I just was like, get this over with and get back to Catwoman. So if they had just made a Catwoman movie with Batman and Catwoman, that would have been great. But anyway, then Joel Schumacher takes over. Batman 3 with Tommy Lee Jones and what's his face as the Riddler. I felt like I was watching a big budget version of the television show. It was like Schumacher did not understand the material. Jim Carrey, thank you. I just thought Jim Carrey's over the top anyway. Jim Carrey is a guy you have got to reel in, or his performances just go nuts. And it's like The Grinch is terrible because Ron Howard refused to reel Jim Carrey in. But Rick Baker's makeup was so great, it was worth watching. And even Tommy Lee Jones was just over the top. It was just ridiculous. But then he made it worse by doing Batman 4. Now, the reason Batman 4 is not on this list is because it's full of wacky colors and wacky scenes that, I don't know, you could watch it and it sucks, but at least there's something there visually that, might be interesting to you. But it certainly would be in my top 10 worst films. So it didn't make my top 5, but I wanted to throw out those honorable mentions. Now let's get to the actual list that I made. And there's some painful things in here that I've got to talk about, but this will be like therapy for me. We'll get through it. We'll get through it together. Number 5. It pains me to say this, but it can't be ignored. Yes. Star Trek V, co-written and directed by Wee Willie Shatner. What a piece of garbage this movie is. Excuse me. I couldn't believe how bad it was. So I took my mom to this because I took my mom, I've told the stories before that my dad would never, he hated movies. And we took him to a movie, he'd fall asleep. So we never took him to movies. So I'd take my mom to all the movies. And most of the movies we went and saw were sci-fi, fantasy, superhero adventure, King Kong, stuff like that. Because she likes that stuff. So I took her to see all the Star Trek movies. And here we were with number 5. And I didn't read reviews on Star Trek movies because I was going to go see it anyway, so it didn't really matter, right? God, this movie sucks. And for a variety of reasons, the budget got cut on it, so they couldn't do the special effects they wanted. So at the end scene where they go to meet God on that planet, and it turns out to be, I don't know, is it Satan? I suppose that's who the implication is, but that doesn't really make any sense either. But they get attacked by these little lava goblin guys, right? And if you remember in the movie, if you can force yourself to remember it, if you've seen it, the transporter is not operational. So Kirk's down there by himself, or the planet's exploding and stuff. And of course, Spock goes with a Klingon vessel and saves him, right? So, but originally in the script, Scotty beamed up one of these little lava monsters by mistake because everybody's running around trying to, and it trashes the transporter room. And you're thinking, oh, that's a pretty good scene. It's not in the movie because I guess the effects were so bad that they were like, we can't use this. And they just cut it. And so all the stuff on the planet where Kirk is running for his life and these guys are fighting these like lava monsters, not in the movie. The premise is ridiculous. It's poorly acted. When Shatner's directing himself, there's no one to reel Shatner in. And I'm angry about this because this is a Star Trek movie. These were supposed to be great. I'm supposed to be able to say, this is awesome. And it sucked. I wanted to walk out. It was so bad. I didn't for the sake of my mother. Now, my mom loved it, but she loves anything Star Trek. She's not a discerning critic like I am. So, well, let's not get into next gen movies. Those are anti-movies as far as I'm concerned. I don't even count them. Although the Borg one was okay. If Shatner wanted to meet God, he should have just called me up. I'd have done the film with him. God. Thank you, James. Well, right. Yes, the story was horrible, but that scene would have at least made the ending a little better. And like Uhura's dancing naked and she's like 60 some years old, 70 years old or whatever she is. You're just like, come on, man. Don't make your 70-year-old communication offers dance the dance of the flamingo or whatever it was to lure the guards away from the space station or the outpost. Oh God. Anyway, so there you go. It was painful because it is Star Trek, and I don't like to say negative things about Star Trek, but sometimes you got to. Hey, as the kids say, you got to keep it real. Number 4. This one was painful too, but for different reasons. Unquestionably, I think. Unquestionably, is that a thing? Can you say I kind of think unquestionably? The worst superhero movie ever made. It's hard to duck really a comic book movie, I guess maybe would be the best way to say that. Because I know there's some of the newer ones like Morbius and Madam Web and things like that. Or I never saw any of those. Even I understand the Venom movies really suck, but if you like, Venom, then maybe you say, okay, it's still I'm still getting what I want out of the movie. It's like Jurassic Park. I don't care if they're any good. Just show me the dinosaurs. I convinced my best friend and his wife to go see this with me. And I remember saying, kind of jokingly, saying, you guys, this is going to be the feel-good hit of the summer. You want to make sure you see it. Because they were like, Howard the Duck, are you kidding me? I said, George Lucas is involved. It's going to be great. Okay, first of all, Howard's costume may be the biggest piece of trash in the history of big budget films. Horrible. How could this have happened? It's my understanding that they had this like animatronic thing or whatever, and it just wasn't working. And so they were like, okay, last second, throw together this duck costume and put a small person in there and go with it. It was, I mean, why do you call Jim Henson if you're going to do like a human puppet thing? It was terrible. And then the movie was terrible. And Howard the Duck is shacking up with Leah Thompson. I mean, seriously? It was just, that's gross. And oh my gosh. What's his face was in it? Early movie for the guy that was in Shawshank Redemption. And so then I got ridiculed my friend, and my friend and his wife were not comic book people. So they simply went to this because I talked him into it, going with me. And I still get made fun of, 40 years later for this movie. But worst movie of all time with the greatest movie poster of all time. This movie poster, this advanced movie poster, which I own, won the Movie Poster of the Year award in, what was this, 86, I think. So I guess it wasn't all bad. Yes, the pain is real. Tim Robbins, thank you. I never saw this a second time, and I never want to see it a second time. So there you go. That was number 4, and that pains me too, because it's a comic book movie. It's hard. I love Howard the Duck. I love the movie poster. That movie poster came out. It was on Hollywood Boulevard, and when they used to have poster shops on Hollywood Boulevard, I was down in film school. I picked that thing up. I was like, oh, this is going to be so awesome. And to make matters worse, I saw in like Fangoria magazine, or one of those, effects magazines at the time, Rick Baker, who did, of course, the makeup for American Werewolf in London, among many other things. He had carved a Howard the Duck bust, and they had a picture of him holding it in this magazine. And I was like, and so I thought, oh my gosh, Rick Baker's working on this movie, which was not the case. But the sculpture was like, it was like perfect right out of the comics. It was like Gene Colan, inspired sort of. It looked perfect. And I thought that's what I was going to get. And that's not what I got. They would have been better off animating him like they did in Roger Rabbit, and doing something like that. I have never drawn Howard the Duck in the comics. I only draw him like in sketches and, for my own entertainment. But yeah, I have never drawn him in a comic, sadly. I've never drawn the Man-Thing in a comic either. I got an opportunity to do a Man-Thing story. They sent me the script, and everybody was like, oh, get that. Make sure Lopresti does that, because all he does is talk about Man-Thing. And so they sent me the script, and the script sucked. So I didn't do it. Because, first of all, Man-Thing was hardly in it, right? And it was this, oh my gosh. Okay, so it was all these rich people, and they were at, they have those like secret meetings where they eat like rare animals and stuff. Well, they were doing this, but they were all like vegetarians or whatever, I guess. And they were eating Man-Thing, right? And his head was on a platter or something. And so, and then of course, how did it end up? I think when Man-Thing finally came back to life or whatever, and they all were scared. And of course, anything that fears burns at the touch of the Man-Thing. So they're all burned from the inside out because they all had Man-Thing inside them. Oh God, it sounds horrible. But I read the script and I go, this is gross. And I go, and Man-Thing's in it for like a page when he kind of reassembles at the end. I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. So here they are. They sought me out to do this, and then I turned them down because it was so bad. And this actually got published in one of those monster anthology books that Marvel was doing for a while there in the 90s. Ugh. So anyway, that's my Man-Thing story, and I'm sticking to it. All right, so there's let's see, I guess we're at number 3. I'm only putting this on the list really to stick it to Disney. But here's what I'll say about Solo. I didn't go to the theater to watch it, right? Everybody was saying how bad it was because you know how people online, right? It's like everybody goes nuts about this stuff, and maybe it's not as bad as they said or whatever. So it came on TV or on one of my streaming channels. So I said, I'm going to watch this and see what, see if it's any good. For those of you who've seen the movie, I got up to the point where they had that campfire. They're sitting around the campfire with Woody Harrelson and I think maybe this chick here. I don't know. And I turned it off. I don't think I've ever done that before. I said, this movie sucks. And I turned it off and did not watch the rest of it. It could not engage me enough in the first 20 minutes or whatever it was to make me keep watching it. That is a disaster. And so I had to put it on this list because I don't think I've ever done that before. But it was that, I thought it was that bad. I was just like, it did nothing to engage my interest. So I turned it off. Torchbearer says Solo wasn't great, but there are some decent fan edits which are more enjoyable. Passmaster Zen says bad was kind. 40% Zed said it sucks. Chuckle Shirt said I've seen it twice and don't remember any of it. Yeah, it's not like, I don't think it's painfully bad in that sense. It's just bad, right? It's like I have no interest in watching this. So I turned it off. And is that the ultimate insult to a movie? Is to say, you haven't even done enough to make me want to watch this. And that was pretty much what happened here. So that made the list because of that. Paul Taylor says, so kind of bad. Apex, there you go. If Aaron turns off Star Wars, you can tell that it sucks. I was stunned. I was like, why am I watching this? And I turned it off. Okay, here we go. Number 2 on the list. This is painful for another reason, but we'll get there. Now, you guys all know, or most of you should know, that my favorite movie of all time, like I say, it's not even close, but it is kind of close with Star Trek 2, which is my second favorite movie of all time, and Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is kind of in that mix. But my number 1 movie of all time is Jaws. This movie, this isn't just a bad movie. This is an embarrassing bad movie. You are embarrassed that you watched it. You are embarrassed for the people that signed on to do this movie and have this on their resume for the rest of their lives. Michael Caine is in this movie. Now, it was during this period where he was getting divorced or whatever, and he was doing every movie he could find simply to pay his divorce bills. But the premise is the shark follows Mrs. Brody around the world to get revenge. How does the shark know where she's going? And it's not even the shark. So it's like Chief Brody kills the first shark, right? And he kills the second shark in Jaws 2, which is not a great movie, but at least it's okay. 2 stars. It's okay. If the shark had eaten all those whiny teenagers, then it would have been good. And then Jaws 3, of course, is incredibly bad. But Jaws 4 is next level bad. The special effects are horrible. The acting is... Michael Caine, get a load of this. Michael Caine won an Academy Award for Best Actor for Hannah and Her Sisters. Excellent Woody Allen film. He can't go to the Academy Awards because he is on location shooting this piece of crap. Now, you have to go through the rest of your life as Michael Caine going, I won Best Actor, and I wasn't there because I was filming Jaws 4. Holy smokes. Jaws is, I don't think there's any movie and movie franchise like it ever. When you've got Jaws, Spielberg Jaws, one of the widely considered one of the top 100 films of all time, and spawned a franchise, and every subsequent film is complete trash. It's amazing that the first film could be so brilliant and every sequel after that is complete and utter garbage, culminating with this cesspool of celluloid garbage. It's just, get you right here. Anyway, so there's Jaws 4. Well, okay, now hang on a second. Citizen Ronan says Predator franchise is the same. I would disagree, Ronan, because Predator is not as good as Jaws. It's a great movie. I love Predator. And Predator 2, not great, but it's okay. Danny Glover's in it, it's okay. Now everyone after that. Although, wait a minute, the one with Adrian Brody was okay, wasn't it? Was that a Predator movie or was that an Alien movie? It was called Predators, right? I mean, it wasn't great, but it wasn't like, painful, like Jaws painful. I went full Shatner saying celluloid garbage. Jerry says this list should be retired as most disappointing. As bad as they are, most are tied to some kind of franchise that you love, but these specifics really drop the ball badly. Yes. Well, and it is the fact that, like I said, I went into every one of these movies with some expectation of being entertained or thinking that, this might be good, or you're hoping it's good or you think it's good, and they're not. Aaron doing his best Shatner while critiquing Jaws: The Revenge. It's true. Spock looked at me across the aisle and he said, illogical. So it was very illogical. Clairvoyant sharks. I mean, and then it's not even the shark that Brody killed. So why is he trying to get revenge? Was it like his mom and dad that Brody killed? Like an uncle? I don't remember, but I don't want to remember because I blacked it out. Okay, here we go. So there has to be a number one. There has to be the worst experience. A lot of these are interchangeable, but you had to pick a number one. So here's my number one. Let me tell you, folks, if you're a producer and you want somebody to star in your movie, never let them write or direct it as a condition of them starring in your movie. Here we go. The much ballyhooed Superman 4, The Quest for Stupidity. Oh my gosh. And who doesn't love Christopher Reeve as Superman? The ultimate Superman. I still will stand by that. The first two movies I loved. Now I know that Superman 2 took some liberties, with giving Superman basically whatever magical power he needed to get out of whatever situation he was in. But I don't care. I loved it. I love Superman 2. Superman 1 was like junior high. We had a huge theater. It's been torn down since, but when I was in junior high and high school, we had this ginormous theater. And so you'd go see these films on like the biggest screen you can imagine on an indoor, 4 times the size of what we get now at these Cineplexes. And I go in there and saw Superman, and I was just blown away. It was so awesome. And then I saw Superman 2. Oh, God. I was talking about how great it was after I saw it. Not as good as number 1, but it was still, I really liked it. 3, ridiculous. But it had some scenes, right, where he's in the bar. The kryptonite's making him kind of wacky. The fake kryptonite's making him kind of wacky. And he's in the bar, shooting peanuts and breaking the whiskey bottles. And then he fights himself. And he gets a little racy with Stella Stevens, And then he fights himself, and I really like that scene. But you don't put Richard Pryor in your movie if you're trying to do a serious film. It's a comedy, right? And so they just turned it into a joke, even though it still had some moments that were okay. But then this piece of garbage, written by Christopher Reeve, because nuclear disarmament is the only way to go because we were going to have a nuclear war. And I'm not saying that's not a threat, but I don't know. Don't put Superman in the movie like this and give me your political takes. And how do they get Gene Hackman to be in this piece of crap? I took my mom to see it. And after the movie, the lights come up. We're sitting there, as you do, you discuss the movie a little bit before you leave. You're kind of letting it all soak in. And I just turned to her and I said, God, that was awful. And she goes, yeah, that was really bad. And I said, I wanted to get up and walk out, but I didn't because I thought you'd want to see the whole thing. And she goes, oh, you should have told me I wanted to walk out too. My mom, who liked Star Trek V, wanted to walk out of this movie because it was so bad. And so that is why the heartbreak of seeing Christopher Reeve as Superman in this piece of garbage. Of course, Canon Films, what do you expect? But anyway, this kind of depressed me, this segment did. You got it right there. Golan and Globus Productions. The cheapest. I mean, we used to think Dino De Laurentiis was kind of like overblown, but crappy movies. I mean, Conan's okay. Again, Conan's not a great movie, but it has Arnold in it, so it is a great movie. But De Laurentiis did the King Kong remake, which sucked. And so I'm going to turn off my phone. I keep getting dinged here. So anyway, there you go. The Golan and Globus Canon guys were the kings of crap. Yeah. I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just saying that I don't think it's as great as everybody makes it out to be, but because it's Arnold, it is great. So, just saying, it's all subjective, man. I love all of you. I love you so much. I want to ask you to hit the like and subscribe. You've got over 300 people watching. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please do so. I have contemporaries of mine that I must catch for my own sanity. So help me out. Hit the like and subscribe so I can continue to bring you more entertainment like you're experiencing right now. But now, ladies and gentlemen, the entertainment that you've been waiting for, the moment of the show that we all wait for. No, it's not the sports news. It is, in fact, boy, have I got some hot garbage for you today. Here we go. This can only be described as the floating head. You guys tell me if perhaps you have some idea what we might be looking at here. There it is right there. There it is. Is that an eye and a nose and a mouth? Or is it just something floating downriver? Now, according to the narration, there were police here and they were saying getting everybody out of the water and away from the lake. And they went in there and couldn't find anything except an alligator. I have no idea what we're looking at here, but my feeling is it's a piece of wood or something. I have no idea. Then they do a close-up and say, hey, look at this close-up. See the face? And I'm like, that's helpful. I believe your eye is here, your nose and mouth are here. but it didn't move. So, I don't know what it was. Says that's a Chewy mask. Okay. Paul Taylor for $10 says, I don't normally send 2 super chats. Well, I appreciate it, Paul, but I must protest Capone not being on this list. Aaron, you mustn't have seen it. Also, is Canada Day tomorrow, so happy Canada Day. Which Capone are we talking about? Are you talking about the Rod Steiger Capone from the 50s, or is there a newer version that I have not seen? Because the 50s version with Rod Steiger, the guy who did the screenplay for that, and also the screenplay for The Young Lions, was pardon me. I had a class in film school with the director of The Young Lions, Eddie Dimitrick. Of course, he was one of the blacklisted guys in the 50s for communism or whatever. Fascinating guy. He didn't teach us anything, but he sure told us a lot of great stories. But I had a screenwriting class from the guy who wrote Capone. And I'm pretty sure I saw it. Or did we just talk about it in class? I can't remember. So I don't remember it being that bad, but maybe. Not Bigfoot. Okay. Is that wooden shot? Maybe. Alligators do that during the winter. That's what I thought too. Is that the nose of an alligator? Because I've seen that before. Let's take a look at this. Could that be the nose of an alligator? You know what? I'll bet money that's what it is. Because they said they found an alligator in there. I bet that's what that is. The nose of an alligator. Paul Taylor saying, oh, Tom Hardy. No, I did not see that. But I'll take your word for it that it's bad. So avoid Capone with Tom Hardy. Okay. Now this one I'm calling Fat Bigfoot. So you tell me. This unfortunately is just a alleged trail camera shot. There it is. So monkey brow, monkey nose, monkey mouth, monkey ears, furry monkey, giant furry monkey body. That is a fuzzy fake shot. In fact, I would go as far to say that shot, that was probably superimposed over the background. But if it wasn't, it might have been wholly created in some sort of Photoshop program. That's my take on this. If this is the best quality photograph you can get out of a trail cam, why do you even own a trail cam? James says that's a fake foot, not a Bigfoot. I'm in agreement with him. GJ Martinez says, no, Bigfoot lives. There it is. Looks like an alley-oop creature. That is so funny, Apex. Those of you, we got an old audience, right? You guys know what alley-oop was, right? Comic strip. Yeah, he says he likes that it's doing the original big. This is, yeah, okay. I like that it's doing the original Bigfoot turn and look. So basically what this picture is it an homage to the Patterson-Gimlin film, or is it just inspiration? Oh, we talked about that earlier. Oh, don't say it about Anno. We love Anno. Brian Suddenly Old says that's an ape. It's a fake ape. I don't even think that's a real ape. I think it's a fake ape. I think the whole thing is fake. You can't trust anybody anymore. All right, let's see what else we got here. Oh, this is interesting. Probably fake too, but it's cool. This is, somebody took a photograph of lightning in the sky, or a film, and look what they saw. You tell me. I want to know what Paul, our resident biologist, has to say about this. Is that a giant dragon in the clouds? Is that an optical illusion, or is it Photoshop fakery? What are we looking at here? Is that like a dragon with like legs and stuff? What the heck are we looking at? I mean, do you know how big that thing would be if it was that big in the clouds? I mean, it would be freaking like Godzilla. Evil One for $2 says, how many times are you going to miss my super chats, dude? That's what you're here for, is to remind me that I missed your super chats. Where did I miss your super chat at? This, oh, I'm sorry. There it is. It says Evil One for $5. It says, been a while. Going to physical therapy for my hands, so I got to limit my typing. You obviously haven't seen Jaws 5, aka Cruel Jaws, an unofficial Italian flick. Thank you for making me aware that there is another suck Jaws films out there. Now, you've seen Santa Jaws, right? But that's not even really a film. It's more like a grade school project, so I can't count that. But that is, but I had some laughs watching Santa Jaws. No laughs watching Jaws 4, just crying. Thank you, Evil One. Hope that your PT is going well. Get those hands back going. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it very much. I know. And then I made him type more. Fake if in the UAS, but in Korea, it's definitely real. Kelly's saying fake. It's a Thunderbird. Go says it's Rodan, Archangel, Night on Witch Mountain all over again. Duck Bacon saying that's CGI all the way. Jerry's saying no, it's Cthulhu. Pastmaster Dan, of course, speaking truth, saying it's always fake until it isn't. Paul Taylor, this is the insight we're getting from our biologist. Looks like a dragon. Pretty cool. So I don't know, you guys. I think actually, for fakery, it's kind of interesting. I'm curious though if it's some sort of weird natural phenomena going on up there. If they actually went in and put that in there. I'll give you a little extra airtime for your extra typing. You're killing my hands, Aaron. Stop typing. Thank you, though. I appreciate it. Game of Thrones new movie set. So anyway, there could be gigantic dragons in the clouds. How about that? Okay, now here's a goblin, maybe. You tell me. You're inside your car. Your car's getting shaken. You hear strange growling noises. And then you see this. Yeah, I see that right down there. Keep your eyes right there. Below the side view mirror. Yes. Look at those eyes. Muppet or goblin? Or baby werewolf? Apex, will you ever see a man-thing creature in a swamp? If you're talking about, will you ever see one on these videos? My guess would be no, but you might see one in a Wraith of God issue. That's the guy that he gets videos off other, off social media and does his own little creepy show. And then I steal them from him. Of course, I'm going to call BS here. I love it how David Williams is always willing to support the show. This is boring. Draw something. Some people say that drawing is boring, except on Graybeards, where drawing is entertainment. Dale A says that's a lizard person. That's what the commentator says. Is this like a lizard person? I thought Gollum, but it isn't white. That's a racist comment. Zeno the Stoic, fake. Puppet. I'm going with you on the puppet thing. I don't think it's a fake puppet. I think it's a real puppet, but I think the whole thing is faked. Because you always get shots like this, right? Where it never it doesn't come out over here so we can all see it. It just kind of peeks in. And then you don't see it for like 2 seconds, and you never see it again. I just don't know. All right. Now I'm going to show you something that's real, and it's really cool. If you have not seen this, this blew me away. Look at the freaking size of that alligator. This guy's in the foreground. How small would he be if he was standing next to that alligator? Now, I thought someone must have jacked up this footage because there's no way that thing could be that big. Now, they're saying it's a 15-foot alligator, which is about max size for an alligator. And it's on a golf course, and it's been there for years, according to, I mean, this was on the news. This wasn't on, somebody's Instagram. And they were saying this thing has been there for years. And it really doesn't really bother anybody, so they just kind of leave it alone. But holy crap, look at the size of that thing. And if that guy was in the sand pit, or if he has to be like, I mean, he would be so tiny next to that alligator. That has to be 15 foot. I mean, that's just amazing. I mean, you say 15 feet and you're kind of like, well, Jaws was 25, but it's like, if you take a basketball hoop, which is, 10 feet, and then you put it lay an animal like that up, 15 feet is freaking huge. And this thing is I just can't believe this is an alligator. I have never seen an alligator this big before. I mean, you see crocodiles that are like this, but that is like a dinosaur, man. I'd be so tempted to get closer, but then I wouldn't want to get eaten. Ronan says, a few years ago, we had one that big on our golf course. I got some photos and was yelled at by a cop. I believe they had it removed. Have you seen the video of the drainage ditch when they look at it with polarized glasses and the gator is hiding under the water? Yeah, I've shown that video. I've got it. I've saved it because it's so awesome. It's the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life, honestly. Custom God says, I had a snake that was 13 and a half feet long. Man, you're living dangerously. Go to sleep and wake up and you're half swallowed. No, thanks. That is huge, 13 and a half feet long. But yeah, that's like the freaking biggest gator I've ever seen. Amazing. Are you referring to this video in the drainage ditch that we watch quite often? That one. Is this the one we're referring to? Dale A. That is a big critter right there too. We only saw, when I lived in Florida, we only saw little ones, maybe 5 feet. Oh, Dale A says there's a different one. Okay. I will, I'll see if I can find it. In a drainage ditch. Okay. I'll see if I can find it. All right, folks, that's it. Hey, we went pretty long here. I was thought maybe we'd be done by 6, and look at it, it's almost 7. So I have filled your afternoon and early evening with loads of nonsense, and I take pride in that. So I want to thank everybody for joining us. Thank you guys for the super chats. I really appreciate it, especially Evil One for typing out 2 super chats to make me aware that he had 1 super chat. I feel bad. But I'll still take your money, and I appreciate it very much. So I'll continue to send out updates on Kit Carter, and I'll post the poster once I get it mocked up with the finished art. And I want to once again say I appreciate you guys taking your time to be here on this Sunday afternoon. I couldn't do it without you, and this show is only a success because you guys show up and tolerate it. So I appreciate it very much. Have a great evening. And again, back Kit Carter if you haven't yet. It's not going to be open much longer. And we'll see you guys next week, in fact, right here on Aaron Live. Good night, everybody.